So I'm going to start a little closer to the screen and then I'll move to my mat in a moment. I said, I think in the newsletter that you don't need any props, and that's true. And if you are on your hands and knees and you need some support for your knees, then grab a blanket or a pillow or something that you could support your knees with. And then we'll start when people are seated. I'll say one other thing kind of in the preamble. I won't see you in the practice because my screen isn't going to be large enough for me to see all of you. So you can be on video, and that's great, and I'm happy to see more of you in a distant, somewhat small, abstract way. Or you can take the video component off and just hold the audio. So either way is totally fine. But just know that I won't be offering specific and individual instructions unless I know you well enough that I might add something about that at some point in the practice. So in whatever way you're sitting, adjust your seat. So with your hands, turn your thighs in. Settle the buttocks and the knees down. Place the fingertips on the floor beside you. And as you lightly push down with the fingertips, lengthen up through the sides of the torso. Move the top of the upper arms, so right where your shoulders and your torso meet. Slightly move the top of the upper arms back so that you have width across the front of the chest. And then keeping the length in the torso and the width across the front of the chest, place your hands lightly up or down on your legs. Settle into your breath and arrive. So one of the great things about this moment is that it's an opportunity to experience practicing at home. And sometimes practicing at home has more distractions. And as much as possible, suggest that those distractions move to the background so that you invite the same focus that you would have in a more specialized environment, like a class setting at a studio space. And then as you settle into your breath, notice the inhalation, a little pause, the exhalation, and a little pause. On Wednesday night, some of us had a conversation online about yogic wisdom and practices for uncertain times. And one of the things that we talked about there was the word dukkha, and the translation of that word. So the word for suffering in Sanskrit has two definitions that I want to highlight for our practice this morning. So one is that suffering is invited or created or amplified when things are slightly out of alignment or slightly off kilter, if we're out of step with the rhythm of the universe. And the other aspect of that word, the other definition of that word, is that suffering is when we move away from something. So If we're moving away from sensation or emotion or any experience that we're having, that creates the opportunity for amplified suffering. Also, when things are a little out of alignment, we don't feel so good. And so the asana practice at any time, and then especially today, is an opportunity to investigate both how to move toward sensation and whether things are in or slightly out of alignment. So as we use the body and set it up in optimal ways, we move more into alignment physically, and the understanding is that puts us more into alignment with the general flow or the rhythm of the universe. The other thing is that the asana practice and the body provides a forum for sensation, a feedback experience of what sensation we're experiencing at any moment and how we can, through the practice, move toward that sensation, as opposed to rejecting it or ignoring it. So as you practice, the invitation is to move toward the sensation so that you can investigate it. And when we're moving toward sensation, one of the things that we receive, one of the pieces of information we receive from that is we receive whether we're working in an optimal way. So if we're experiencing too much sensation, then we move away from it. If we're experiencing not enough sensation, we also move away from it. Our mind gets distracted and pays attention to other things. So in the process of moving toward sensation, we're moving toward optimal effort, optimal experience, aligned experience, and an adequate amount of sensation is one that is resonant or in rhythm with the breath, meaning we can still breathe. The breath might be impacted, but our breath hasn't been cut off or ignored. So with that invitation, close your eyes. Settle more deeply into the breath. And as you breathe, already feel into the sensations in the body. In whatever position you're in, there are sensations. Move toward the felt experience. And as you move toward the sensation, so you're observing the sensation to move toward it, and then you're in the process, as you move toward it, of accepting the sensation. And then with your next exhalation, join your hands together at your heart. Touch the thumbs against the center of the chest and use the touch of the thumbs to lightly lift the center of the chest up, feeling as if that lift comes from the inside out. And then we'll Om together 3 times to initiate the practice. Exhale. Take a deep breath in. And gently bow your head over to your heart. Release your hands, lift your head, and then come over onto your hands and knees. I'm going to move back to the mat. And I'm going to actually just move my computer to speaker view. So, from your hands and knees, place your hands shoulder distance apart and turn your hands slightly out to the sides. Place your knees hip bone distance apart and extend your feet straight back behind you. And then tune into the breath. As you exhale, tilt the tailbone down, round your back up toward the sky, and let your head hang down between your arms. As you inhale, lift the tailbone up, sway your spine toward the earth, look forward or even up slightly. Exhale, round. And inhale, arch. Move like this a couple more times. Linking the movement as to your breath. Notice the sensations, especially along the spine in each movement, and move toward that experience so that you become more and more aware of the sensation. One more time. And then inhale, look forward or up slightly, and exhale, pause in a neutral position. Staying on the hands and knees, extend your right leg straight back behind you with the toes tucked under. Lift the top of that thigh up and scoop up the low belly. With the navel lightly pulling back toward the spine, draw the shoulder blades away from your ears. And then as you inhale, lift the right leg up to hip height. Stretch back through the inside edge of the right leg. And then if you're steady, stretch the left arm forward alongside the left ear with the palm facing in. Lift the thumb up. Lift the top of the right thigh up and keep the navel in toward the spine. Inhale. Exhale the hand down and the knee down. Pause. And then the other side. So extend the left leg straight back behind you, toes on the ground for a moment. There, lift the top of the thigh up, scoop up the low belly, and hug the outside of your right hip in. Then lift the leg to hip height, extending out through the inside edge of the leg. And with the next breath in, stretch the right arm alongside the right ear if you did that on the first side. Lift the right thumb up toward the sky, keeping the shoulder blades away from the ears. Lift the top of the left thigh up while scooping the navel back toward the spine. Inhale, exhale, hand and foot down, a knee down. Pause, take a breath. We're going to do one more here. So again, stretch the right leg straight back behind you. Scoop up the low belly, and then lift the right leg to hip height. So staying on both hands here, bend the right knee so the heel is pointing up toward the sky. And just little pulses. Lift the knee up a bit more and then drop it down to hip height. Lift it up a little bit, drop it down. Feel into the work in the muscles of the hamstring on the back of the thigh and the buttocks. Watch the temptation to sway the spine, the lower back especially. One more breath. And then drop that knee down. Stretch the other leg back behind you, the left leg. Draw the low belly back, so your lower back is longer rather than swayed down toward the earth. And then lift the leg to hip height. Bend the knee, flexing the foot. Press the heel up toward the sky. And then from there, little pulses, lift up, come back down to hip height, up. So your pelvis, the front of your pelvis is staying parallel to the ground. You're not tilting your hips. Feel into the engagement in the muscles of the back of the left leg, the left buttocks as you go up. 2 more. And then drop that knee down. Now step the right foot forward beside the right hand. You can come up on your fingertips here. Have your right knee directly over your right heel. And walk your left knee back further away from you. Draw the shoulder blades away from the ears. And breathe. Feel into the sensations on the front of the back thigh. Spin the outside edge of that leg, the back leg, forward toward your front big toe. And then to increase sensation, bend the front knee a little deeper and sink your hips forward and down. Ease off a little bit, perhaps. Maybe pulse slightly with the breath. Exhale, move into sensation. Inhale, ease off a little bit. Exhale, move in. Inhale, ease off. 2 more breaths. And then change sides. So step the right foot back, and then bring the left foot forward. So again, bring your left knee directly over your left heel. Keeping that, walk your right knee back a little bit more. Come up on the fingertips perhaps, or you can even make fists with your hands. Breathe. And feel into the sensations on the front of the back thigh, or wherever else you feel sensation. Move toward the sensation. As you stay in the pose, spin the outside edge of your back hip more forward toward your front big toe, internally rotating the back leg. And then as you exhale, hips maybe forward and down a little bit. As you inhale, maybe ease off a little. So especially if you're in a lot of sensation, move out of the sensation a little bit on the inhale and back into it on the exhale. One more breath. And then inhale here, exhale, step back, and then last time, last lunge position for now. So bring the right foot again forward so that the right knee is over the right heel. Tuck your back toes under, come up on your fingertips, and then with the next breath in, stretch the back leg straighter. Lift the top of the back thigh up. Spin the outside edge of that hip down toward your front big toe. And sink your hips, your pelvis down toward the ground without bending your back knee or lowering your back thigh. So the top of the thigh reaches up toward the ceiling. One breath here. And now we're going to bend and straighten the front leg with the breath. Exhale. Press the front leg straighter, keeping the front sitting bone lined up with your front heel. Inhale, bend the front knee, look forward, even up slightly.
Exhale, straighten, moving into an appropriate degree of sensation here. Exhale, bend, look forward. 3 more times. And after your last one, bend the front knee. You can drop the back knee to the ground. You could step forward or back into downward facing dog, and then change sides. So step the left foot forward, left knee over left heel. Tuck your right toes under if you were on your hands and knees, and then lifting the right leg, make it really straight. Lift the top of that thigh up, away from the ground, and spin the outside edge of your hip toward the earth. Keeping the back thigh lifting, sink your hips down. So your pelvis moves down toward the ground while the top of your back thigh lifts away from the earth. Tune into the breath. Shoulder blades away from the ears. Exhale, press the front leg straighter. Inhale, bend to look forward. 4 more times, move with your breath rhythm. Feeling the sensation. Moving toward the sensation so that it's at an optimal degree. Optimal means that you move toward it with a certain willingness. And the breath is fluid. 1 more time. And then with your front knee bent, this time we're all going to step forward. So stepping the back foot up, place your feet wide enough apart. You can go as wide or almost as wide as your mat. Make the outside edges of the feet parallel with the long edges of the mat. And then bending the knees enough that your fingertips touch the ground. Fold your torso over your legs. Push the heels lightly apart. Firm the muscles on the fronts of the thighs. And then if your legs are not yet straight, as you inhale, push your heels apart and stretch the legs straighter. Exhale, bend the knees a little bit and fold the torso deeper over the legs. If your legs are straight and your fingertips on the ground, as you inhale, firm the muscles of the buttocks and turn the sitting bones down toward the heels. And then inhale, fold the torso more deeply in toward the legs, keeping the legs straight. 1 more breath. Bend the knees a little bit, place your hands on your hips, lift your chin. Inhale, push into the heels and come up. Exhale. You can turn and face the long edge of the mat. And then your feet parallel and hip bone distance apart. Stretch your arms out to the sides. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, right elbow under left, give yourself a big hug. Draw the shoulder blades down away from your ears and walk the fingers toward the spine as much as possible. So if you already feel a lot of sensation here, stay here. Option 2 is to release the hands and bring the backs of the hands together. And to put your right hand in front of your left by moving it toward your face and then in front. Wherever you're at, move the shoulder blades down away from the ears. Lift the elbows slightly up. And if you're holding, if your forearms are in front of you, press your hands a little bit away from you. If you're holding your shoulders, continue to lift up a little bit, descend the shoulder blades, and rock the fingers around to give yourself a bigger hug. 1 more breath. And then release the arms, stretch them out to the sides. Inhale. And now as you exhale, left elbow under right, big hug. Draw the shoulder blades down away from the ears. And as you draw the shoulder blades down away from the ears, the elbows up. Either stay here or bring the backs of the hands together, the forearms together, and if you're going further, move your left hand toward your face to put it in front of the right palm. Lift the elbows up. If your forearms are in front of your face, press your hands a little bit away from you. And breathe into and feel into the sensations on the tops of the shoulders, the trapezius muscles. See if you can soften and ease up the level of sensation as opposed to going for more. See if you can, as you move toward the sensation, diminish it. And then inhale, stretch the arms to the sides. Exhale your arms down. Inhale, stretch the right arm up alongside the right ear. Lift it up. Let the shoulder blade lift and even lengthen along the right side of the torso. Grab that that upper arm with your hand, your left hand, and turn the arm slightly toward you. Bend the elbow. So if your elbow is not over your armpit, that's the first step. So you're turning the arm in, you're pressing the upper arm back so that it lines up, the elbow lines up over the armpit. If you have that, lengthen both sides of the torso evenly and equally. And then move the hand closer to the outside of the torso. Rather than in toward the spine, move it out toward the outside edge of the back. And then press the upper arm behind the ear. One more breath. And then exhale, release that arm. And then inhale the other arm up. So stretch the left arm up alongside the ear. Lengthen all the way through the side of the torso. Lift up well. Grab that upper arm with your right hand. Turn the arm in. So the upper arm wraps toward you. And then bend the elbow. Move the elbow up toward the sky. And lengthen the underside of the upper arm. If your elbow is not over your armpit, that's where you're going. If it is, continue to wrap the upper arm toward the face and move your hand more toward the outside of the back. And then press the upper arm back behind the ear. Couple more breaths. And then exhale, stretch that arm straight, release and sweep the arm down. We're going to move into standing poses from here. So with your next breath in, step the feet really wide apart. The first one will be Trikonasana, triangle pose. Spin your left foot slightly in, rotate your right leg and foot out. Micro bend your front knee and firm your front thigh. Inhale, stretch the arms out to the side at shoulder height. And plant your back heel really strongly. Inhale, lift up a bit on the right side of the torso. And as you exhale, reach. And then down, hold your shin or your ankle and stretch the other arm straight up in the air. Breathe. Push your back heel down into the mat and out away from you. Plant the big toe side of your front foot and scoop your front hip underneath you more. Draw both shoulder blades away from your ears and lengthen the underside of the torso as much as possible. Take your head back slightly and maybe turn your head to look up toward your top thumb. That's not necessary. You can look forward or down, depending on your neck. Now push down into both heels. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, turn your feet. Let your arms for a moment. And we'll do the other side. So spin your right foot in. Turn your left leg and foot out. If you're on the Zoom platform and you have any questions, I'm not going to be able to see anything you write in the chat window, so you have to unmute yourself and ask the question out loud, and I'll hear that. So just wanted to let you know. So micro bend your left knee. So there's just a teeny tiny bend. It makes the muscles of the leg work more. Stretch the arms to the sides. Ignore the dog barking in the background if you can hear that. And as you push into your back heel, lift up a little bit on the left side of the torso, inhale. And then as you exhale, stretch out and then down. Hold your shin or your ankle, stretch the other arm up. Push your back heel down and out away from you. Plant the big toe side of your front foot and scoop your front hip underneath you a little bit more. Draw both shoulder blades away from your ears, and with the shoulder blades down away from your ears, lengthen the left side of the torso. Take the head back a bit. Breathe. And as you breathe, feel into the places of sensation. Ensure that you're working in a way that optimizes your ability to move toward sensation. Pushing into both heels. Inhale, come all the way up. Turn the feet, step the feet together, lower the arms. Extended side angle, Parsvakonasana. Inhale, step the feet really wide apart. Go a little wider, if anything, this time. As you step the feet wide apart, bring the left foot slightly in, rotate the right leg and foot out completely. Inhale the arms out to the sides. And now as you exhale, bend your front knee deeply. As you bend your front knee deeply, angle the front knee toward the middle toes of your front foot, and then drop your forearm down to your thigh, stretch the other arm up. Option one, you stay here. Keeping both shoulder blades away from the ears, push your back heel down, and keep your front knee pointing straight over your middle toes. Option two is you slide the hand down to the inside edge of the front foot. And option three, if you can touch the ground behind your foot, do that. So wherever you are, plant your back heel and push it out away from you. Bend your front knee deeply and turn the front knee slightly out. Keeping the shoulder blades down, stretch the top arm up toward the sky. Turn that whole arm in. So it's the same action you did earlier with your hand. And then as you lower it over the ear, let that shoulder blade lift and lengthen through the whole left side of the body, from the left heel through the left side of the torso to the left fingertips. One more breath. Keep the right shoulder blade away from the right ear. And then pushing down into both heels, inhale, come all the way up. Stretch the arms out. Exhale, turn your feet, lower your arms. And then the second side. So turn your left foot slightly in. Rotate your right leg and foot. Inhale, take the arms to the sides. Exhale, deeply bend your front knee, angling it straight forward over your middle toes. Drop your left forearm to your thigh, stretch your right arm up. Pause, breathe. Assess if going further is necessary, and then take the same position you did on the first side, so hand maybe to the inside or the outside edge of the foot. Plant your back heel. Push your back heel out away from you. Turn your front knee toward the middle toe so that you can scoop your front sitting bone underneath you and firm that buttocks. Drawing the shoulder blades away from the ears, stretch up into the top arm. And now rotate the whole arm so it turns toward the face. And then as you lower it over the ear, let the shoulder blade lift. Lengthen the sides of the torso. Breathe and feel into the experience that you're having. Move toward the sensation. Instead of that temptation to move away from sensation, we're moving toward it, even in its discomfort. And that's training for our capacity to move toward sensation in our practice off the mat. Push down into both heels. turn the feet. Inhale, step the feet together, lower the arms. Standing forward bend. Separate the feet, hip bone distance apart. Again, go a little wider if the muscles in the backs of the legs are less interested in this position. A little closer together if you have more capacity in the forward bend. With the outside edges of the feet parallel, take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, hinge from the tops of the legs, fold over. Bend your knees as you need to touch your fingertips down to the ground. Adjust. Take a breath or two. This is an integration, a stabilizing, even a resting moment. So now as you push your heels apart slightly, stretch the legs straight if they're not yet straight. If your legs are already straight, as you push the heels apart, firm the muscles and tilt your sitting bones slightly down toward your heels so that you feel the low belly draw back toward the spine. Stretch the crown of the head toward the earth. One more breath. Bend the knees a little bit. Put your hands on your hips, lift your chin. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, step your feet together. Touch the whole inside edges of the feet together, but especially the inside edges of the big toes. Maybe have a little bit of space between the heels. We're going to do chair pose Utkatasana. Now take a deep breath in, stretch the arms up overhead. If that's not working for your shoulders, you can keep your hands here or put your hands on your hips. Please modify for inappropriate sensation, pain. As you stretch the arms overhead, inhale, lengthen through the sides of the torso and keep that length now as you exhale, sit down low like you're sitting in a chair that's not quite there. Bring the weight back into the heels. Squeeze the legs together and lightly tilt the sitting bones toward the heels so that you can feel the outside of the hips and the buttocks firm. The outside of the hips squeeze in toward each other, and that lifts the low belly, the area below the navel, back slightly toward the spine. Lengthen the sides of the torso, stretch the arms up, and turn the upper arms toward the sides of the face just like you did earlier with hands. And if it's possible, move the upper arms back behind the ears. Push it down into both heels. Inhale, come all the way up. Turn the arms, exhale. Sweep the arms to your sides. Warrior one, Virabhadrasana one. Inhale, step the feet really, really wide apart. As you step the feet wide apart, this time put your hands on your hips. Spin the back foot around about 60 degrees, or basically as much as you can get it. Turn your right leg and foot out. Move your right foot a little bit over to the right, and then readjust the back leg by turning that leg more in. So you bring the outside of that hip toward your front big toe. At the same time, plant your back heel. As you plant your back heel, push it down firmly and even slightly out to the left. Then keeping your hands on your hips, inhale. And as you exhale, bend your front knee while you push into your back heel. As you bend your front knee deeply, press it straight forward over your middle toes. Lean slightly forward. And as you lean slightly forward, press the top of your left thigh bone back toward the wall behind you. Make that leg very long and lean and strong. And then scooping up the low belly, bring your shoulders back up over your hips. Release your arms. And if it works for your shoulders, inhale, stretch the arms up overhead. Lift up. At the same time, as you lift up through the torso and inhale, at the same time exhale and sink your hips down, straight down toward the ground while pushing your back heel into the earth. Firm your front buttocks. Send your front sitting bone toward your front heel. Stretch up through the sides of the torso and the arms, and then pushing into both heels, inhale. stretch your front leg straight. Turn your feet. Exhale, lower your arms. Adjust, so line your feet up again so that they're parallel. Put your hands on your hips. Spin the right foot in. Turn your left leg and foot out. Move your left foot a bit over to the left. And again, spin your back leg around more. So you're internally rotating that leg as much as possible in the socket, and plant your back heel really well. With your hands on your hips, bring your right hip and the right side of your rib cage more forward. Inhale, exhale. Bend your front knee deeply. As you bend your front knee deeply, lean forward a bit. Press the top of your back leg toward the wall behind you while bringing the outside edge of that hip toward your front big toe. Keeping your front leg bent and your front knee pointing straight forward. Scoop back the low belly to bring your shoulders over your hips. Release your hands. Inhale. Stretch the arms up. Breathe. As you push down into your back heel, turn the outside edge of that hip and that rib, that side of the rib cage, more toward your front big toe. Point your front knee straight forward. Firm the muscles of the buttocks. Now as you inhale, lift up more, and then as you exhale, sit down. Feel into what's working. Feel into the places of effort. You don't really even have to do anything. You just feel into the experience fully. One more breath. Push into both heels. Inhale. Stretch your front leg straight. Exhale, turn your feet. Lower your arms. Inhale, step your feet back together. Turn and face the short edge of the mat and step forward. We'll do revolved Parsvakonasana variation. So with the feet hip bone distance apart, inhale, bend the knees a little bit, everybody, and fold the torso down over the legs. Place your fingertips on either side of your heels, and then inhale, step your left foot straight back into a lunge. So we're in the same position we were earlier in the practice. Lift the top of your back thigh and turn the outside edge of that hip forward. Bend your front knee more deeply. Now squeeze the muscles of the buttocks, and firming the muscles of the buttocks, push into the front foot. Bring your hands up to your front knee. If that's not happening today, you can keep your left fingertips on the ground, turn your torso, and stretch your right arm up with your shoulder blades away from your ears. If you're up on your front knee, cross your left elbow over your right knee and either join your palms or plant the fingertips or the hand, the left hand down, and stretch the right arm up. So wherever you are, lift your back thigh, bend your front knee deeply, draw the shoulder blades away from the ears, move your head back a little bit, lift the chest. One more breath. And then unwrap yourself, touch the fingertips to the ground, step the back foot forward, exhale. As you inhale, step the right leg all the way back, lunge, and then same thing. So lift the top of that thigh, spin the outside of the right hip down toward the ground, squeeze your legs together, and either turn your right hand out a little bit, keep the fingertips on the ground, twist the torso, and lift the left arm. Or if your legs are steady and strong, bring your hands up to your front knee, push into the big toe side of your front foot. Firm your buttocks, and either as you cross the right elbow over the knee, join your palms, or stretch the right hand down to touch the fingertips to the ground and lift the left arm up. Breathe. Lift the top of your back thigh up, firm that buttocks. At the the same time, firm the front buttocks and send the front sitting bone toward your front heel. Inhale, unwrap, touch the ground, step your back foot forward, and fold over the legs. In the standing forward bend, take your feet wider or closer, again depending on the availability of the hamstrings for this position. Line the outside edges of the feet up so that they're parallel. Push your heels lightly apart. Lift the arches. If your legs are not yet straight, as you push your heels apart, stretch the legs straighter. And if your legs are straight, engage the muscles of the buttocks, tilt the sitting bones slightly down toward the heels so you peel the low belly off the tops of the thighs. And stretch the crown of the head toward the earth. Push down into both heels, bend the knees a little bit. Hands to your hips, lift your chin. Inhale and come up. Exhale. So stay facing the short edge of the mat. Parsvottanasana, pyramid pose. So keep your right foot where it is. No, sorry, let's do this from the side. So turn and face the long edge of the mat. And then as you inhale, step the feet apart. Maybe slightly narrower than before. Put your hands on your hips. Spin your left foot in as much as you can. Rotate your right leg and foot out. As you spin the left leg in, it's the same thing we did in Warrior One. Turn the back leg as much as possible. Move your right foot over to the right a little bit so that you can bring the outside of the left hip and the left ribs more forward. Micro bend your front knee. Push into the big toe side of your front foot, and for balance, squeeze your legs together. Put your hands on your hips, option 1. Option 2, hold the elbows behind you. And option 3, if you know reverse prayer position, do that. I'm not gonna teach that. So planting your back heel. Now as you inhale, lift the center of the chest up. You can curl back slightly. Keeping a micro bend in your front knee and pushing into your front big toe. Squeeze the legs together. Inhale, and now as you exhale, fold down over your front leg. As you fold over your front leg, squeeze the elbows together if your hands are on your hips. Lift, everybody, lift the top of the upper arms back away from the ground. Plant your back heel. Squeeze the muscles of the buttocks in toward the center of the body. Scoop back the low belly. And keeping your front thigh very strong and your front knee slightly bent, lower your forehead toward your shin. Push into both heels, lift your chest, inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, turn the feet. Line your toes up again. And then the other side. So spin your right foot all the way in. Turn your left leg and foot out. And move your left foot a bit over to the left. That's so that you can get your right hip and your right ribs to come more forward. Push down into your back heel. Hold either your elbows, or put your hands on your hips, or if you're holding your elbows, change the hand that you're holding first with. And then, curl the heart up. As you do that, spin the outside edge of your right hip more forward. Micro bend your front knee, firm your front thigh, push into the big toe side of your front foot and engage the muscles of the buttocks. Inhale here, and as you exhale, send the pelvis back toward your back heel and fold over your front leg. Keep the front thigh firm, your front knee slightly bent. Firm the muscles of the buttocks. Peel up the low belly slightly back away from the top of your leg. And then, if your hands are on your hips, squeeze your elbows slightly toward each other. Not a lot, just a little bit. If you're holding your elbows, slightly lift the elbows up. And then everybody lift the tops of the shoulders up. And now for the last breath or two, fold more deeply over the front leg, maybe bringing your forehead toward your shin. Push down into both heels, lift your chin. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, turn your feet. Bend your knees a little bit. Inhale, step the feet together. And then turn to face the short edge of the mat. One last standing forward bend. So with the outside edges of the feet parallel, the long edges of the mat. Inhale. And now as you exhale, hinge forward. Bend the knees as much as you need to touch the fingertips to the ground. Let your head hang. Breathe. And before you adjust in any major way, feel into the pose, feel into the sensations. Observe the difference between the first forward bend of the practice and this one. And observe without judgment or expectation, but just pay attention to any shift. Maybe walk your feet a little further apart to reduce sensation and to give you more forward bend capacity, or perhaps walk your feet closer together to give you more opportunity to engage and to intensify the level of sensation. Wherever you are, push your heels apart to stretch the legs straighter. And then if that's already happening, as you inhale, squeeze the muscles of the buttocks in, lift up the low belly, and then everybody as you exhale, fold more deeply over your legs. Couple more breaths. Make it available and useful. Meaning it could be just a recovery time. It could be a time you just bend your knees and let yourself hang a little bit more. Or it could be a time that you invite a little more intensity into the position. Always in service of moving toward the experience as opposed to moving away from it. Retraining ourselves from that tendency to move away and to begin to move toward even sensations and experiences that are deeply uncomfortable. Bend your knees, place your hands flat on the mat. And if you're not doing downward facing dog, then you're going to do child's pose. If you are doing downward facing dog, this is the moment. So step one foot in the other all the way back. Take a big step back. So you've got lots of length between the hands and the feet. And just like in the forward bend, take the feet wider, makes the pose a little bit more accessible. Taking the feet a little closer together can give you more opportunity for engagement. Wherever you are, look at your hands, make sure they're slightly turned out to the sides. Rest the finger pads down onto the mat well. Plant the base of the first fingers and the thumbs. Micro bend your elbows. Turn the triceps, the outsides of the arms, toward the sides of the face. And then as you push into the hands, pull your hips back. You can let the shoulder blades lift a little bit toward the ears, but keep wrapping the upper arms. Now, as you press the tops of the thigh bones toward the wall behind you, engage the muscles of the buttocks and maybe descend the heels toward the earth. As you descend the heels, you have to keep length in the spine. So if you're sacrificing length in the spine to get your heels to the ground, consider just taking a wider stance, a longer stance, and lifting the heels. One more breath here. Inhale. Exhale. Drop your knees to the ground. And then turn over and lie down on your back. So you're going to lie on your back. If your chin is overly lifted when you lie on your back, you might want to quickly grab a pillow or a blanket to put under your head. And also, if you have more of a curve in your lower back, because we're going to do some abdominal work now, having a blanket behind your head and lengthening the back of the neck will help to lengthen the lower back and give you more access to your abdominals. So, possibly with a blanket folded behind your head. This is me doing no props, just maybe one prop. So, as you lie down, place the blanket perhaps behind your head. Oh, and then just watch for a moment. So when we lie on our back, and access the low abdominals. We're wanting to especially access that band from the top of the pubic bone to the bottom of the navel. And it's very tempting to do that by tilting the pelvis. So instead of tilting the pelvis, like our lower back has a lot of mobility in it, so instead of tilting at the pelvis, the intention is to keep the pelvis neutral and then draw the low belly back toward the spine strongly, depending on how strong your low abdominals are. So as you lie down, place the blanket behind the head, tuck the shoulder blades just slightly down so that the back of the neck is long, and position yourself so you have a neutral pelvis, which means that you can have a little space behind the lower back and the ground, but the back of the ribs and the back of the pelvis are firmly in contact with the floor. So now, keep that and draw the low belly down toward the spine. If that brings the lower back in contact with the ground, that's okay, as long as you haven't just rolled your pelvis, lifted the lower part of your buttocks, and dropped the weight into the lower back. So, keeping the low belly down, maybe the lower back in contact with the ground, might be close. Then, put your arms at your sides, and inhale, lift your knees just up over your hips. We'll tend to draw them in more, so bring them back, so that the knees are just over the pelvis, the hips. Keep the low belly down. Maybe the lower back is lightly touching the ground, maybe not. Slightly muscles of the buttocks. And you can use your arms, like gripping the hands, the sides of the mat with the hands can help, but you want to make sure you're not using the muscles on the tops of your shoulders. Breathe. Couple more breaths. And then bend the knees, place the feet on the ground, pause. We're going to repeat that. So adjust as you need to. You can practice just for a moment, tilting the pelvis. So really arch the back so that there's a lot of space behind the lower back and the ground, and then do the reverse. So drop the lower back to the ground, like almost lift your back. And then find the midway place there in between. So the lower back is long, lengthened, but not necessarily directly in contact with the ground yet. Then engage the muscles of the low belly and draw the low belly back toward the spine, the back of the pelvis. And maybe now your lower back comes more in contact with the ground. That's fine if it does. It's also fine if it doesn't. And then, starting with the other leg, lift the knees just up. Keep the low belly down, knees just over the pelvis, shins more or less parallel the floor. Firm, very strongly, the low belly. So it's like the low muscles knit in together and then down toward the ground. Breathe. Tune into the places of sensation. You want to not use the muscles on the fronts of the thigh, the hip flexors, the thigh muscles. You want to be using the muscles of the buttocks, the low belly, and maybe even a little bit the backs of the thighs. And then exhale. Bend the knees, place the feet on the ground. We're going to do one more here. So this is the toe touches. We're going to come back into the same position, but we're going to tap the toes to the ground. When you do that, you're pointing the foot, and so you're moving at the hip joint to tap the foot to the ground, as opposed to bending the knee and tapping the foot down. So, same idea. Neutral pelvis, low belly down. Hold on to the edge of the mat maybe. Lift the knees up, just over the hips. So your left leg is going to stay just as it is. Point the right toes, and then moving at the hip, tap the toes down, come back up. Tap the toes down, come back up. Do 5 more. So move with the breath. Some people it'll be better to exhale down, inhale up, and other people the reverse. Last one. And then back up. And now change sides. Left toes, keep the right leg as it is. Without tilting the pelvis, tap, come back up. You want to feel this in the low belly. Down, up, 5 more times. And when you finish 5, inhale up, exhale, feet on the ground. Stretch the arms out to the sides at shoulder height with the palms rotated up. Then, lift both knees in toward the chest and squeeze your legs very strongly together. Jatara Parivartanasana, it's an oblique, an exercise for the obliques. Here you still want to have a slight curve in the lower back. So just a tiny curve in the lower back. Squeeze the legs together. Now plant your left shoulder on the ground. Turn your knees slightly toward your right elbow. And as you exhale, keeping the left shoulder down, take your knees toward your elbow. Squeeze your knees together. Inhale, come back up. Exhale down. Inhale back up. We'll do 5 more times. If it's available for you to do this with the legs straight, that's the other option. Down, up. If you're doing it with the legs straight, then your toes are coming toward your fingertips. Last one. And then inhale up. Turn your knees down to your left elbow. Plant the right shoulder. And here we go, 7 times. Exhale over. Inhale back up. Exhale over. Inhale back up. Keep the opposite shoulder planted. Even stretch out through that fingertip as you keep going. Maintain a little curve in the lower back, so when you come back up, you're not planting your lower back on the ground. And then inhale up, exhale, feet on the mat, pause. Windshield wipers, take your feet as wide as your mat. And then with the feet wide and the heels out, keep your left knee exactly as it is. Just drop your right knee toward your left foot. Option 1 is to stay here. Option 2 is to stretch the right arm out alongside the right ear and really lengthen through the side of the torso. Another option is to pick up the left foot, put it on the right thigh, and use that to weight the right thigh down more. You're focusing on internally rotating the leg and lengthening from the right knee all the way through the right side of the torso and maybe out the fingertips if you're doing the version with the arm alongside the ear. If you're not putting your left foot on your right thigh, you're keeping the knee pointing up. One more breath. And then inhale that leg up, that arm down, and then the other side. So keeping the right knee up, drop to the right foot. Pause there. Assess the sensation. And maybe take the left arm alongside the left ear so you get more length in the left side of the torso. If you went further on the first side, you're picking up the left foot and weighting it, picking up the right foot and using it to weight the left knee down. More significantly, using this moment to move into the sensations, to feel the sensations probably somewhere in the left hip area, maybe along the left side of the torso, maybe out through the fingertips. And if you feel little sensation, that's just an invitation to dive deeper into the experience. So there's always sensation if we're not ignoring or rejecting. So we want to keep moving toward even the subtlest layer of sensation. And then inhale up, exhale the arm down. Roll over to your right side, come up, and then turn and lie on your stomach. So as you lie down on your stomach, extend your legs straight back behind you. And with your legs straight back behind you, lift one leg up, turn it in, put it back down. Lift the other leg, turn it in, put it back down. So you're rolling the outside edges of the hips a little bit down toward the ground and lifting the inside edges of the thighs up slightly. Take your arms back by your legs and turn the palms up. Now scoop up the low belly and engage the muscles of the buttocks, especially the lower half of the buttocks, right where the tops of the legs and the buttocks meet. Firm there. Now you can either keep your arms at your sides, or you could hook your thumbs or interlace your fingers behind your back. All three options give you slightly different experiences in the shoulders, and just intuitively say which one makes sense for you today. So if you've hooked your thumbs or interlaced your fingers, micro bend your elbow, or bend your elbows a little bit. Everybody draw the shoulder blades away from your ears. And now we're going to lift just the head and chest up. So keeping the buttocks firm, the tops of the feet planted, and the low belly drawing back. Exhale. And now as you inhale, curl the head and shoulders back away from the ground. Squeeze the shoulder blades toward the spine. If you have very mobile shoulder blades, don't do that so much. Instead, think about pushing them forward into the chest. And then everybody inhale, curl the shoulders, the chest back more. Lift the hands just off. If your hands are at your sides, lift them up. And then exhale and come down. That's a hard one to speak through. We're going to do it one more time. So change the interlacing of the fingers or the hook of the thumbs. Press the tops of the feet down. Scoop up the low belly. Firm the muscles of the buttocks. If your hands are at your sides, then you just micro bend the elbows. If your hands are interlaced behind you, bend the elbows more. Everybody, shoulder blades away from the ears. Exhale, inhale, and come up. As you come up, push the tops of the feet down, firm the muscles of the buttocks. Use your arms in whatever position they're in to help draw the chest back away from the ground. And then exhale and come down. Release your arms. Arms at the sides. Turn the palms up. This time we're going to lift the head, the arms, and the legs. So scooping up the low belly, firm the muscles of the buttocks. Exhale. And now lift the head, chest, the arms, and the legs. If that strains the lower back, keep the legs down and lift just the head, chest, and the legs. As you lift the legs, lift the inside edges of the legs more. Lift the tops of the thighs up, away from the ground as best you can. Curl the shoulders back. Exhale and come down. Turn the thighs in a little bit again. Last time. Firm the muscles of the buttocks. Scoop up the low belly. Drag the shoulder blades away from the ears. Exhale, and then inhale to come up. Two more breaths. And then exhale and come down. Place the hands under the shoulders. Press up onto your hands and knees. And then I was going to do a pose, but I just changed my mind. So I want you to lie on your back. So as you lie down on your back, bend your knees, place your feet on the ground. Setu Bandha bridge pose. Tuck the tops of the shoulders well underneath you. Bend your elbows and point straight up to the sky, so the backs of the arms are on the ground. Now, bring your heels in close enough to your hips that you can really strongly push down into your heels. Take your heels a little wider than the toes. Now, as you push down into your heels, firm the muscles of the buttocks. Keep a little curve in the lower back. Deep breath in. Lift your hips way up. As you lift your hips up, slide the tops of the shoulders underneath you again. More. Push the tops of the upper arms down more than the elbows. Squeeze your knees lightly toward each other. They're not touching, but they're moving in. And then lift the hips up as much as possible. Lengthen the back of the neck. And as you push down into the heels, curl the chest toward the chin. If you're feeling like you can't push into the heels, adjust the feet. Walk them in a bit or maybe out a bit. And very strongly push into your heels. Lift your hips way up. Stretch your arms straight. Grab onto the edges of the mat. Turn the upper arms out and lift up. One more breath. And then exhale. Slowly come down. Pause for a moment here. Let your spine settle into a neutral position. So you've got the back of the pelvis on the ground, a little space in the lower back, the back of the rib cage on the ground. If you're using a blanket and you have it close by, you can slide the blanket behind your head. And now cross your right ankle on your left thigh. Flex your right foot, just a little bit. Keep the weight even across the back of the pelvis. And then lift so either stay here and just lightly move your right knee away from you, or lift the left knee up, catch the back of the thigh or around the front of the shin. Breathe. Keep the back of the pelvis on the ground and a little space, or at least a suggestion of space in the lower back. Draw the left knee toward the left shoulder as opposed to tilting in toward the midline, and lightly move the right knee away from you. One more breath. And then release the hands. Put that foot on the ground. Uncross. And then the other side. So without tilting the pelvis, cross your left ankle on your right thigh. Flex the foot a little bit. Keep the weight balanced. We'll tend to tip to the left hip, so keep your right hip heavy. Lift the knee up if you did on the first side, or stay in that first position, lightly moving your left knee away from you. Draw the shoulder blades away from your ears. If you're rounding your shoulders up off the floor, consider putting the foot down and using your hand on your thigh. It might be a length of an arm situation, but you just don't want to round the upper back too much in this position. If you can keep the sense of width across the front of the chest, do that. And then here again, move into the sensation. So really observe the sensation, move toward it, deepen your understanding of where the sensation is, and experiment with what alleviates sensation, what intensifies sensation. Couple more breaths. And then release your hands. Put your right foot on the ground, uncross your left. Pause. And then maybe draw the knees a little bit toward you. Rock slightly side to side or make little circles with the knees on the back of the pelvis. If you're making little circles, change the direction of the circle. And then just for a moment, draw the knees straight in again. And then place your feet down on the ground. Lying down, relaxation, Shavasana. I'm going to move a little closer to you so that I don't have to speak so strongly. And you're going to lie down on your back. Take support for behind the head as needed. Cover up. Grab whatever you need to be comfortable. And as you lie down, take your feet out as wide as the sitting bones or a little wider, and let the feet roll open to the sides. Take the arms either to the sides of the body and rotate the arms so that the palms face up, or bend the elbows and lightly place the hands down on the torso. Close your eyes and drop into your breath. As the breath settles, let the body settle. And as the body settles, let the weight of the body give in to gravity. And as the body weight drops into the earth underneath it, feel into any sensation of the body spreading out, melting into the ground. Notice the back of the body heavier. And feel into all the sensations of the back of the body and its contact with the earth. And then pay attention to the front and the sides of the body. Front and the sides of the body contact the air around us. So notice that contact and maybe have a sense that the front and the sides of the body spread out into the air around you. As the body expands, feel into any places of overt sensation. Feel into the places that hold tension. And as you move toward those places, see if the experience of moving toward the sensation can relieve or alleviate any of the overt tension there.
As you rest, feel the breath permeate deeper and deeper into the layers of your body. So that the breath moves toward and even helps with the release of any areas of discomfort or tightness, tension. And perhaps as the body releases its burden of tension, the weight of suffering, and the energy that we're using to hold against and to move away from our experience gets to move more fully and freely through us, there can be a sense that the whole body is being breathed with each inhalation and exhalation. Rest there. Very gently, deepen your breath. And with the next deeper breath in, bend the elbows and place the palms down on the torso if they're not already there. And then as you breathe into the hands with the next breath in, bend the knees, place the feet down on the mat. Stretching the right arm out alongside the right ear as needed. Roll all the way over to your right side. And then using your left hand, press yourself up. Come to sit for a moment. Sitting well. Close your eyes and join your hands together at your heart. May we alleviate our suffering by moving toward our experience. May we alleviate the suffering of others by moving toward them and their experience. We'll close the practice with one exhale completely. Take a deep breath in. Thank you. Namaste. I'm going to unmute the people on Zoom. So if you have any comments or questions, you can share those now. And if you're ready to leave, thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate having you all here and being with you in this way. And thank you, Facebook Live, and those that joined on Facebook Live. The recording will be on Facebook Live, so if you're interested in redoing it, you can find it there under Mona Keti Yoga. So, how was that?
Thank you.
Oh, so welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mona.
Thank you.
From Dan and
Yeah,
Kat.
nice to see you, Dan and Kat. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, Mona.
Yeah, you're so welcome, Marianne. Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Nice to
Mona.
see you.
Cheryl's iPhone.
Thank you, Mona. From
You're welcome. You're welcome. How was the Zoom experience? Any comments about the Zoom experience before you go? You don't have to.
There was a bit of like a sound problem at some point, but nothing serious.
Want to do it?
Yeah, it's probably the internet connection. It's very windy here today, so it might have been that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it was great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Namaste.
Namaste. So I'll send out another newsletter in a day or two, and that will have more information about what's coming next week. Do more of this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mona.
Have a good
Thank
day.
you. You too.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Bye. So I'm going to turn this off. Thanks, Facebook Live. See you later.